very good morning, viewers. You're watching NewsX and I'm Kriti Mehta. Our focus this morning remains on the Iran war. In latest breaking news updates, Iran says that no final decision on US deal has been reached. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai says Tehran has not taken a final decision on a possible agreement with the United States and will not compromise on its red lines in a negotiation. According to Iran's IRNA news agency, Baghai said reports about any set time or place for signing an agreement are speculative and nothing has been finalized. He added that while a large part of the negotiating text has been agreed upon, the US has repeatedly changed its positions during the talks. Let's go across now to my colleague Ajay Jindal, who's joining us with more details on this. Let's also, in fact, tell you once again that Foreign Ministry of Iran says Tehran has not taken a final decision on a possible agreement with the US. It will not compromise on its red lines in negotiations. Remember, viewers, this is coming as just yesterday Donald Trump had indicated that Iran has promised not to go ahead with its nuclear weapons. Today, Iran has given that statement that it is not ready to compromise on any of its red lines. And this has been confirmed by Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai, who has said that Tehran has not taken a final decision on this. Ajay, do tell us more details.
What we have seen that there was a statement from Trump's side. He says that Iran supreme leader, other leadership, as well as the countries in the Middle East, they have those who were supporting Iran. They have confirmed us that they are agree on the deal, and that's why we have deferred our plan of striking Iran tonight, and that's why there was a confusion, we can say, because America is saying one thing, that they have agreed for the deal, whereas Iran's statement came that we are not going to compromise, and Trump statement says that they have agreed for the deal on the nuclear as well. So how this is happening, why Trump is doing this, why he is giving some statements differently, and Iran is totally denying on that is something which is really surprising, because such kind of war, such kind of situation haven't seen in the previous times in anywhere in the world.
All right, stay on, viewers. Now, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson on Ismail Baghai, in a post on social media, has strongly condemned the recent attacks on Indian commercial weapons, calling them evidence of what he described as US armed robbery and state piracy. He said at least 3 Indian nationals were killed in the incidents and extended condolences to their families, the Indian government and the people of India. Baghai also urged the international community to hold the United States accountable, alleging that such actions threaten global peace, security and freedom of navigation. Ajay, of course, a clear condemnation there that has come in from Iran on the Indian nationals that have been killed there in the Strait of Hormuz. Once again, take us through the exact statement.
The question?
Ajay, you stay on with us. Let's go across, in fact, to defense expert Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, who's also joining us. General Kulkarni, thank you very much. How do you see this? Iran itself coming out and calling out the United States for this attack. In fact, 3 of its kind on Indian vessels, in which even 3 nationals have reported being killed.
Thank you very much. I think at the very outset, we must appreciate Iran has realized that this kind of complete domination or assertiveness or aggressiveness being exhibited by the United States in the Strait of Hormuz is something which nobody would appreciate. India itself has a also protested, has called for the diplomat and given a protest note to say that the death of Indian nationals, sailors, three of them, and three of the ships which had Indian sailors, one of them in which we lost three, had 28 sailors, of which 24 were Indians. The other, both Guyana ones had 28, 24 sailors each. Fortunately, all of them are safe. But this is something which definitely the United States should not have indulged in, because there are procedures of friend and foe. Whenever you find ships, you always try and warn them that such a thing is to happen. And all the Indian ships, all the Indian sailors speak English, and it is not a language that can come in the way of not understanding. And therefore, this kind of an attempt, irrespective of whatever it be, once you know the sailors are Indian and they are Americans, there should have been a little more, magnanimity being shown rather than firing the thing and killing people, which nobody has appreciated. Definitely, India has put in a protest. So have the Iranians now also come in. Total in favor of the way India has protested, to say that Americans couldn't be doing such high-handedness on high seas. It's not acceptable. And I think it's time that America has a rethink, because this kind of a coercive diplomacy being exhibited by the Americans is not being appreciated, because the American Central Command seems to feel that the Strait of Hormuz is open, whereas the Iranians have, in no certain terms, stated that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. So now Iran also happens to have fired on one of the ships to say that, look, Strait of Hormuz is absolutely closed. So this kind of, turmoil, this kind of a situation, absolutely tense. And I'm glad at least the Americans have decided to postpone the kind of bombardment that they had thought of hitting at the Iranian targets last night. So sincerely hope that some good deal comes through and the Strait of Hormuz is kept open, and therefore the world then can see peace. But seems difficult because there's a course of diplomacy on by the United States. Yeah.
Right. All right. Stay on with us, Lieutenant, please. We'll take some more breaking news updates, viewers. Now, explosions have been reported in the Strait of Hormuz amid tanker standoff. Explosions have been reported in the Strait of Hormuz as Iran's IRGC Navy forced a commercial tanker to comply with its transit restrictions, according to initial claims. The vessel was reportedly warned before being compelled to follow instructions as Iranian forces asserted control over the key shipping lane. Iran says its forces are closely monitoring the strait and will respond firmly to any attempt to violate transit rules or challenge its declared restrictions, highlighting rising tension in the vital maritime corridor. Once again, viewers, what we are looking at are explosions there in Hormuz Strait. This is as IRGC Navy has forced a commercial tanker to comply with its transit restrictions, according to preliminary details. All right, Ajay, do take us through this. What is the official word that has come out from Iran over this? And how much fees it collecting from each of the vessels plying? Which are the countries that it is charging particularly, and are there any exemptions there?
As you know, the situation at the Strait of Hormuz is really very chaotic because of the ongoing situation, because we have seen that some of the vessels were targeted by the Iran and some other was targeted by the US. So those who have nothing to do with this war between Iran and the US, they are basically hit, and that is the reason that there is a chaos. Now the fresh explosion which took place before Trump have announced that they are not going to hit Iran at the Strait of Hormuz. That is a matter of concern, and Indian authorities also have shown concern after three Indian, sea sailors, they basically lost their life, and it is now expected that they are going to raise this issue with other, that how this is happening. But in a fresh explosion, as of now, there is no reports of casualty. But after this explosion, that ship caught fire, and immediately from Iran authority side, they haven't shared much about it. But yes, there is an explosion there, and that shows that there is still is a scary atmosphere as far as the sea sailors, those who are moving from that route, because it's a very common route which is adopted by a number of countries for their ships, whether it is container ships or oil tankers or other things. So that is the reason that something big is required there, because till the time this is not going to be over, then there will be more chaos in that area.
Absolutely. General Kulkarni, how do you see this? Is Iran actually benefiting, profiteering from this war more than it's suffering because of all the collections it's getting from Hormuz now?
Iran exports 90% of its oil, obviously, to the state of Hormuz, the Kharg Islands, which are the major, place where the oil is stored, and from there where it is exported. And 60% of its revenue comes from the export of oil. So obviously, if you have both of it strangulated in a manner in which the United States have done, Iran is unable to export, and neither can goods come in nor can goods go out, resulting in Iran suffering for a longer period of time. And that's what probably is the aim of the United States, that without firing, if we can strangulate Iran by this complete Hormuz being blocked on the outer perimeter, is resultant. The 80% of the oil from the state of Hormuz goes to the Asian countries. And the beneficiaries are China, India, Japan, South Korea, the whole of Southeast Asia. So, the Americans know that they are not the ones who are actually getting the oil from there, neither are they keen to get the oil from there. But the fact that 80% of the oil comes to Asia, and this kind of strangulation with the United States affects the Asian countries. And obviously, all these sailors, everybody, most of these countries will have Indian sailors, because Indian sailors
All right, some disruption in our guest's audio there. All right, we have it back. Please do come again. We lost your audio for a while, General.
can you hear me now?
Towards the end. Yes, please.
Yeah. So I would say that the Americans mustn't indulge in high-handedness in the state of Hormuz, and some kind of a magnanimity, because obviously the biggest sufferers now are the Asian countries, and in that India, because India imports the maximum oil comes from Russia, and maximum gas India imports is from America. And as a result of which, otherwise our gas will be coming from Qatar. Because of the state of Hormuz, we find that nothing much is moving in. And hence, it will be very essential that the Americans know who are the beneficiaries, the Iranians know to whom they intend to sell, and 80% of the oil from Iran is sold to China. And if China is unable to take that oil, neither pay for it, and Iran and China have a $400 billion, 25 years deal.
All right, sure. In fact, now I also want to introduce foreign affairs expert Manan Dwivedi, who's also joined us. Manan, I'll come to you in a while. For now, let's take what Donald Trump has also said on this. Trump says that Iran war has actually ended. Nuclear deal has been agreed on. Donald Trump has announced that the war with Iran has been ended, claiming that Tehran has agreed to never pursue a nuclear weapon, which he described as a central objective of the conflict. He said the agreement covers nearly 95% of the issues and insisted that Iran has accepted the terms in the most powerful way. The statement comes amid ongoing conflicting reports over ceasefire terms and the final status of negotiations between the two sides. Let's listen in to Donald Trump.
Our country is doing really well. I don't know if you heard, but we ended the war with Iran today, and they have agreed never to have a nuclear weapon, something that we insisted on. That was the whole purpose. That was 95% of it, and they've done it in the most powerful way you can do it. So I just want to thank everybody.
All right, Ajay, Donald Trump once again claiming all is well, deal has been arrived upon, no nuclear weapon by Iran is what Iran is saying, and then Iran comes out and says there is no agreement whatsoever.
the way he gives statements on the daily basis, that is really surprising. A president is, that media friendly, but at the same time, he's making confusion as well, because only few hours back we have seen that a press statement came from the Iran, American president side. Trump says that there is no worries because all is well, and now Iran, supreme leader, and other leadership as well, and some other countries in the Middle East supporting, this peace deal. Kuwait, Oman, whether it is UAE, Dubai, Pakistan. They basically have agreed that Iran will not have any nuclear weapon, and definitely we are going for a deal soon. And that's why I'm not going to attack Iran now. What he have shared earlier, that they are going to carry out a major attack. But at the same time, after some time, one fresh input from the Iran side came, and when their foreign minister says that we haven't, we don't have any deal, we haven't seen say such things, and we are not going to compromise our integrity with our mission. So that clearly indicates that it is from Trump's side only. Why he have basically revoked the plan of attacking Iran, that is something very different. But yes, this has happened, and even late night one news already came that they have already evacuated people from the Pentagon, because there were some inputs of some mischief at that place as well. So, but now they have changed their plan. Why it has happened? Why Trump is giving such statement? That is really surprising.
Right, of course. Manan, how do you see this Trump making statements on his own accord without Iran actually acceding to it? And of course, we know this is not happening for the first time. Trump has done this again. He's at it another time.
I think what is happening here is that we need to move away from the attention and the braggadocio of President Donald Trump. Because what President Donald Trump is doing, I personally have written 2 books on President Trump and a few books on American foreign policy and the grandiose American dream. So the American stature, the American pelf, and the imagery and the kind of narrative building, soft power capacity of America has suffered under the suzerainty of President Donald Trump. Because as you are very nicely telling, ma'am, the idea is that Iran has not been making any statement. So the last week or so, and even much beyond that, some sort of a talk is going on, and a thaw, something which we can call as a strategic and a civilizational thaw, might actually come up between Iran and US. And if it does, it is very good for India, it is good for Asia, and in a way it's a kind of a boon for the entire world. So I would welcome that kind of a thaw, but I would still say that US has appeared to be more zealous, more anxious, and more forthcoming as far as the talks and the diplomatic part is concerned, which sometimes puts in a shred of doubt about the capacity of the great country or the most powerful state on the face of the earth. That is how we have known America to be. And apart from that, another tidbit which your correspondent told us can also be looked into, which says that Pakistan and these countries, they have been the negotiators, and Iran has agreed to abide maybe by the conditions of Jagpoa, which again might be, I'm not sure about it. And apart from that, one of the last thing I would like to say is that according to the war objectives of the American State Department, it was actually said that the proxies, I won't use the word proxies, but the terrorist organizations which have been spawned and made functional and which have been substantiated largely by Iran, they still are very much alive, and maybe in a few days or maybe tonight itself, they might launch another missile attack on a besieged Israel. So I think it's a very complex situation, and just a clarion call by either Arakchi or a clarion call by President Donald Trump might not be good enough. It might not be good enough as far as peace and stability and camaraderie in West Asia is concerned.
All right.
That is how I would look at it.
Okay, sure. And before we wrap up the discussion, one final update that we have now. Reports are also claiming that Iran's top leadership has rejected the US peace deal. New reports now suggest Iran's Supreme Leader Mustafa Khamenei is not expected to approve the proposed peace deal with the United States. Sources cited in conservative media claim Iran's negotiating team may have misled mediators by signaling acceptance of the agreement. The further reports allege that the decision to move ahead with the signing announcement was taken by Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi without the Supreme Leader's consent. All right, that's all I have time for. Thank you very much, Lieutenant General, for joining us. Thanks, Ajay, also for giving us the updates. And